Hey there, and welcome to the UkeStuff channel. Today we are taking a look at this particular ukulele. It is the Caramel CS419. It is a solid body mahogany soprano that was on sale on Amazon. Currently isn't available, but watch Amazon because you never know when they're going to come back. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take a look at a number of subjective issues. With that, I'll also plug it in so that you can hear what it sounds amplified just a little bit over the speaker. Then we'll talk about the specifications. Then I'll come back with a summary statement and a UkeGuide rating. Now, if you are interested in the one-page summary of this video, you can find that at ukestuff.info or ukeguide.info. The ukeguide.info is just a shortcut that will take you right to that particular page with all the listings, close to 100 reviews now. Also, if you want to support the work, there's two things you can do. First of all, you can subscribe to this channel. That'd be very, very much appreciated. And then the other thing that you can do is you can go to buymeacoffee.com/ukestuff and buy me a coffee. All right, so let's begin with the subjective issues. First of all is cost. This was selling for $40 for a solid mahogany ukulele. That is unbelievable. I don't know how Caramel does it, but they did it. This one, again, we'll talk about it later, is no longer available, but keep watching for it. Now, not only do you get the ukulele, you also get a kit. So let's take a look at what you get in the kit. You are sent a bag of items, and I'll show you what's in the bag here. I just closed it by accident. So you get a little booklet that talks about product instructions, and I suppose it's the the basics that you kind of need to know. Second, you get a little pack with some picks, again plastic picks, and a cleaning cloth. You get a strap because it does have strap buttons, so there are strap buttons installed when you buy it. You get some extra fluorocarbon strings, and then the last thing that you get in here are some batteries for the tuner. Oh, and because this is a pin bridge, you also get a little pin puller if you don't have one of those. So that is the collection of things that you get with the ukulele. In addition, you also get a gig bag. It's not a bad gig bag, probably no more than 3 millimeters of padding, so it's not fantastic. And for a solid ukulele, you might want something better, so you might want to invest in something better, and you've saved so much on the ukulele, you can afford it. But Caramel's been shipping much better bags with some of their other ukuleles, so maybe this is just an older model and they're clearing out. The bag is okay. Again, it has a front pocket on it. It has a single strap on the back, and that's it. Pretty basic bag, zips halfway down the back and halfway just straight up the front. So you can get the ukulele in there. And I traveled to California with this instrument for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was inexpensive. Number two, I wanted to see how it handled in sort of a stress test because it is, again, a solid wood instrument. And the bag did just fine carting it across the country from Wisconsin to California and back through heat, cold, you name it. So that's what you get with the ukulele. So how's the value? Well, the out value is outstanding. I quite honestly don't know if I've seen a better ukulele value on the market for what you're getting. So it's amazing value, blowing the charts for value of any instrument that I've ever reviewed. Now, in terms of build quality, overall, there is a ton to like here and very little to dislike. The build is overall very clean, both on the outside and the inside. We'll take a look at the inside in a moment. Really, the two things I'm going to pick on is the edge here is sharper than I'd like. They could actually have smoothed that out a little bit to make it a little more comfortable to hold, sort of like the Aklots do. So that would be one suggestion to make this a better instrument and overall. And the other one is that the fretboard that it came with is pretty dry and is going to need to be oiled. Recently saw a few posts on the internet about people over oiling their fretboard. I'm not saying you got to do that, but this one is dry and would likely benefit from some oil, which I will do after this review. As for the frets, they were nice and smooth. Even if this one has been in a warehouse, really nice and smooth. And I checked with the fret rocker and all the frets were level. So that's very, very nice. However, let's take a look on the inside of the ukulele. All right, let's take a look at the inside of this caramel right here. You can see the wood grain on the back. You see the horizontal brace, and there's your bridge support, your bridge plate. You can see the pin bridge. You can see the knots tied holding the strings there. And you can see a little bit of excess glue there. Notch kerfing, there's the controls for the electronics of the ukulele. Actually, it's the output jack. And then you can see just more of the notch kerfing. It's a pretty clean build, not much glue spill at all. So let's take a look at the upper bout. We'll turn it around here. Very, very close here, not a lot of space. So soprano, you can see the actually really clean notch kerfing. There's your neck brace there. A little bit of extra neck support right there. And there's the actual controls. The other part is the output jack and a little bit more of the notch kerfing. So overall, it's pretty clean. And that is our quick look at the Caramel CS419 solid mahogany ukulele. All right, we're back from that look on the inside. So generally pretty clean. Overall, a really nice build. I mean, you're really picking to get a sharp edge on the edge and a dry fretboard as your main complaints. Now, how about appearance? Well, it's plain looking, right? It's a standard solid mahogany soprano, but it has a couple of appointments that are way beyond what you'll see anything else in this price point or even on most sopranos. So you have a slotted headstock, and of course you have strap buttons there. You do have side position markers. We'll get to that in the specifications, but then you also have a pin bridge and you have a pickup with a tuner. Another reason why I wanted to travel with it, so I didn't have to try to keep track of a tuner and then not have to necessarily rely on my phone. And of course, you have the battery compartment down there for the 2032, and of course, the output jack there. So really, it has a ton of appointments at $40, along with, we'll get to it later, but with a decent sound and a decent playing experience for $40, it's the bargain of the ukulele world that I've seen. Now let's get to the issue of availability. Yeah, it's sold out right now, as is the glossy Caramel Soprano. As a hint, one of those will be coming up on this channel in the future as well. Oh, by the way, if you're curious, this instrument was bought by me, not sent to me by Caramel for my review. So in terms of playability, overall, it's really quite playable. Now, it is a standard 35mm nut with standard 35mm string spacing. I recently reviewed another Caramel that had sort of a wider nut and wider string spacing. That is not this one. But if you are used to playing, for example, a concert ukulele or a soprano ukulele that has a 35mm nut, like so many of them out there, this will feel very, very comfortable to you as well. Now, how about sound quality? This is where this one gets really interesting. If you listen to the very beginning of the video, I always start off with the sound samples right away, because when I was starting these reviews and asking people what things should I look at when I'm reviewing an ukulele, many people said that they just wanted to hear the sound of the ukulele right away, and then they would just move on from most reviews. So the feedback was, don't put the sound reviews at the end, put them right at the beginning. So that's what I've done. But when I play this one, there are a couple things that are happening here. First of all, it's not a super loud sound. It's plenty loud. I mean, it's loud enough that I can take this to any club and hear myself. But it's a warm sound, which is sort of what you'd expect from mahogany. But it also carries some bright overtones. It has a lot of sustain and a very, very balanced sound. So the sound here is, I think, very good. Not the best in the world, but it's better than average by far when you're talking about even a soprano. So in my mind, this sounds more like a concert than it does a soprano. It sort of has a deep body that may help as well. And the top is nice and thin, and of course solid mahogany as well. One of the things I do on these reviews is I let you see what I'm hearing. So I'm going to play the C chord into Tonal Energy Tuner on my iPad, and you can see what happens with the sustain and the harmonic sequence. So yeah, a really nice, well-balanced sound with brightness, warmth, and again, a much larger instrument sound than it really should have. So again, I like that sound a lot, and for $40, that's unbelievable. The other thing to keep in mind is this instrument does have a pickup. Now, I am not a player that does a lot with pickups, so other players would have to give you more of a feedback in terms of everything here. But what I can tell you is whether or not the sound is balanced. So here we go. Doing a great job of being picked up across the board. Yeah, so good pickup throughout the range, no complaints there. And again, you can set the bass, middle, and treble on these controls. I'll give that a little bit closer look on the screen. And of course, if you turn on the power, then the tuner will go on and your pickup will stop while that's happening. And when you unplug the instrument, it stops sending a signal and the batteries continue. So yeah, the pickup works great on it. All right, now that we've covered the subjective issues, let's get into the specifications. It is a soprano ukulele with a scale length of 13.75 inches from nut to saddle. There are 15 frets, 12 to the body, like most sopranos. There are side position markers and front position markers, and it is a traditional double bout soprano ukulele. The soundboard is made of solid mahogany, as are the back and sides. The fretboard is made of rosewood. It is not a radius fretboard, and if you take a look at it, it is very dry again, and right after this video I will be oiling it. The bridge here is a rosewood bridge, and amazingly, it is a pin bridge. You don't see that very often, especially at this price point. The nut and saddle are supposed to be bone. The saddle is actually sitting very, very low. That's okay, but you don't have much room to take it much lower. And the saddle is not compensated. So you have a bone nut and saddle with an uncompensated saddle there. The finish is a flat satin, which does not bother me. I do like the little bit of shine that it has. It is 21 inches exactly from tip to tail, and it weighs 1 pound, 0.2 ounces, even with those electronics. So you can imagine how light this would be without those electronics. So part of the reason why it sounds so good isn't just the depth here, it's also the thinness of the wood and the lightness of the instrument. And the balance is actually pretty good. You know, holding at the middle, it's not top heavy at all, which is surprising with that slotted headstock up there. The tuners are rear-facing geared tuners that work just fine. The action at the first fret is less than 0.5 millimeters, and the action at the 12th fret, right here, is 2.25 millimeters, so it's super easy to play. I love the fact that it came with fluorocarbon strings. That also helps with the sound. I forgot to mention that earlier in the video. The nut width actually is getting close to 36. It's 35.74 millimeters of a nut, but the string spacing is still pretty traditional for a 35 millimeter nut. So between the strings of the first fret, it's 8.94 millimeters between each string, making it 28.60 millimeters G to A. So again, if you have really, really large hands, you're not going to like this one, but if you're used to playing traditional 35 millimeter import ukuleles with that 35 millimeter nut, it's going to feel just like being at home. And then finally, the last thing I check is the depth of the neck at the 3rd fret. Just gives you an idea of how thick it is and how chunky it is. It is a pretty chunky C-shaped neck. So in addition to those other small changes that Caramel could make, like making this edge smoother, they could continue to work on the profile of this neck to make it a little more shallow, towards square, not really square, but narrow that back out a little bit and give us a little bit different shape than that C shape. But yeah, so 21.55 millimeters from the top of the 3rd string to the bottom of the neck. Don't forget that with the ukulele, you get a gig bag. The tuner is actually on the instrument. You get strap buttons, you get a strap, you get the cleaning cloth, picks that probably will not use. Just a really nice kit overall. All right, now that we've looked at the specifications for the instrument, let's summarize it. This is just a lovely little soprano ukulele, and lovely both for what you get, lovely for the instrument itself, and lovely for the price. Now, the active pickup might be a little too much for some soprano players. They might not like it at all, but I'll tell you what, that embedded tuner on the trip was just a joy to have along. So I'm really not complaining too much, and it certainly doesn't add to the weight really at all. I mean, 1 pound, 0.2 ounces with that embedded control system for the pickup and strap buttons and a slotted headstock is just amazing. And really my complaints here are so minor. This edge isn't that sharp, but it could be smoother. This neck could have a less rounded profile. The fretboard could have been in better condition, and the bag could be one of Caramel's better bags. And that's it for $40. Amazing. So what rating would I give this ukulele? Well, the value and what you're getting and the sound and the playing experience, I have to give that a 5 out of 5. I have to. There's just no getting around it. It's that amazing of an instrument for $40. Now, if you see this on the market for $100, it might not get that rating. But at that price point, it is definitely worth buying one of these if you've wanted to have a soprano, you're looking for a solid soprano. Just remember, along with every other solid wood instrument, make sure you are aware of the humidity conditions where you live. If the humidity where you store your ukulele goes below 40% or above 60%, you're going to have to worry about humidity management. All right. Thanks so much for joining me on this rather lengthy review of the Caramel CS419 Solid Mahogany Soprano Ukulele with active pickup. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.